siwasikii au ni marezi wanabonga nje ya field. Una yap mina beba team so my G punguza hiyo NOISE kelele punguza kelele siwasikii kelele punguza kelele na lose weight kitambi kwa pori tulikuwa ma window shopper squeeze sindo jaza trolley advice gani unanipea sisi sikia mbili sorry kuna gala nani nyonya vile Prado nyonya irori shut up unabongana big baba si shut up hebu pigia yujo kwanza una advice nani na umisa patikani jeja nako maftani unaweza dhani ni Somali mashallah nimeingiza mitambao na rap bismillah tuliwapita na kawa la brada shafa big party girl on my lap kufa na njaa uko na wivu manze na una strap kit make up paper chaser ongeza pesa fika mtaili kwa kalesa ilikuwa ni pressure sina keja sina luku sina mzupa wa kusesa but chacha alipanga squeeze chashi kama esa misi waski au ni marezi wanabonga nje ya field una ya beba team oh my G hiyo NOISE kelele
punguza 30 minutes past the top of the hour. I hope you're doing a great today. A beautiful day ahead. Actually a beautiful day in the 254. The weather is beautiful. Sawa. Karibuni sana to yet another beautiful conversation of the Pan-African Bliss. This is the media of the 21st century. That is the one and only Breeder LW playing right here on the media of the 21st century. And I hope you guys are doing great. And your week so far is literally taking you amazing. Wishing you again a beautiful day. And welcome as we talk about A Diamond is Forever. And I do believe maybe some of you already know where this famous phrase is from, and we're going to be talking about of course the De Beers company, the De Beers Diamond Company. How we can see currently, since I think that was last year 2025, so many reports came up about how they are, their market is collapsing, the diamond market is collapsing. We've seen so many countries also taking charge of taking control literally of their resources, like Botswana, which we know the company has been benefiting off so much from. We're going to be talking about that, and I'll be sharing literally a video that explains a bit of the history. I tried to find an authentic, literally Africa explained, because I do believe personally now many conversations, if talked about the people who are going through these experiences, the exploitation, it's well better explained. So this is actually an AI. I don't know if it's an AI, but still gave a bit of facts based on the conversation. So we're going to be talking about that. And of course, I've learned many videos that less have numbers. They're always like triggering these people who control this platform, because where there are lies, they'll ensure that the videos go viral so that they can keep up with the lies. So I try to pull the best one, so we'll be sharing that as we learn about how they have been, what they have been talking about. And apparently this is coming in after they're saying that they're currently they're saying that the De Beers is currently up for sale. So that is the conversation where it came from, and we're gonna be looking at how this is actually happening and how it's going to be effective or profitable to African countries specifically. Part of our conversation also is coming from Joshua Maponga, as he talks about, I don't know if I'm going to get time to talk about that, because I want to start with the video of the De Beers first, and maybe I'll wind up with the Joshua Maponga generally, as he talks about, again, the fake democracy and how we're swimming in the poverty of democracy, because that's what it is. It is poverty of democracy. But yes, without wasting much more time, grab yourself some supplements we have under our app. It's available on the Google Play Store. Blackout Fire Network is the name, and once you have the app, it's easy and available for you to find these products. Just easy for you to sign in without any funds required. And of course, we have much more amazing things that you can check there. For now, Brain and Focus does magic as we come back with the
Unlock
conversations
your full
today.
potential with Brain and Focus, a powerful supplement designed to boost mental clarity, enhance memory, and sharpen concentration. Made from a blend of scientifically proven ingredients like ginkgo biloba, omega-3, and essential vitamins, Brain and Focus is crafted to fuel your mind. Our process ensures maximum potency and effectiveness, delivering the perfect balance of brain-boosting nutrients. Take just one capsule daily, as prescribed by your healthcare provider, and feel the difference. Whether it's powering through your workday or staying sharp in life's challenges, Brain and Focus keeps you at the top of your game. Stay sharp, stay focused, and stay ahead with Brain and Focus. Brain and Focus, fuel your mind, achieve more. Go get this product at blackhotfirenetwork.com at the Sports and Nutrition Store.
It's a very affordable price. Now, as we get started, this is where this conversation, and trust me, I've taken like almost an hour for me to just find something legit explaining the beginning of this company, of course, existing in the African countries, like South Africa, Botswana. They're also in Namibia and many other African countries. We know that they're lying. Google is lying that they're not in Kenya, but we remember there's a video or something that I shared which actually showed that the bears were actually here. Also, taking some of our gold in Kakamega County. So I'm going to be talking about that. So this is where actually this conversation, where it came from. I saw this guy who posted this video yesterday talking about the bears, of course, with the famous phrase, diamonds are forever. Frankly, it seems like it's not forever, because China has built 10,000 machines that make them for $5,000. Like, this is super crazy,
This is one of the best news I have seen in a long time. De Beers said diamonds are forever. China built 10,000 machines that make them for $500. Wholesale prices dropped 96% since 2018. De Beers lost $6.8 billion. The most successful cartel in history is now for sale. Yes,
cartel, it should be the most successful thief, because everything these people have earned and owned, it's all of blood. It's always at the cost of blood of people, the land of people. It shouldn't be. It's the most stealing company, which has been benefiting off the resources of Africa.
Beers is currently up for sale. They basically monopolized the diamond industry, choked the shit out of a lot of African countries, and now they're set. Now, you know who I feel bad for? The idiot that actually buys De Beers. Like, China has decided we're going to destroy this industry. Like, diamonds, I'm sorry, but African countries that rely on diamonds, we need to start switching to other resources. Diamonds are gone now, and I love China for this. This is one of the best news.
Yeah, so that is what is happening, but also trying to understand what is China really trying to do and what really happens to the diamonds, to especially the ones, because if they can make if China has come up with a machine that can make 10,000 machines, number one, that can make them for $500. What really happens to our real diamond market, Now, without the De Beers, of course, on the picture,
I have seen in a long.
That is something I'm also trying to also understand. But most of the people in the comment section also say the same with gold. I see no reason why precious earth resources should cost a fortune. That is true, of course, because everyone should be able to afford a diamond. The fact that majority of the countries in Africa, we have different resources and plenty of resources, even undiscovered ones that we see every single day. There's new resources, rare earth resources that are being discovered, and the white people are the ones who get to benefit of it. Yeah, everyone should be able to afford all these precious resources, all these things, because we were living this life. If you look at the history all the way from Mansa Musa all the way to Egypt, the Kemet, like how Africans were living, this was not really a big deal. People had silvers, gold, but today having a gold, let's say actually let nobody discover you have gold in Africa and you're walking on the streets. How dare you walk on the street wearing what? Shay, you're gonna be hunted down and they're gonna rip off your ear for that gold. Ready to cut off your neck for that gold. And only to be given $2. You know what? That's the crazy part. Only to be given $2. It's not like you're going to sell it actually for a lot of money because you don't even know the market. It's crazy. Someone says, I bought my wife a cubic zirconia ring in 2012 and joked about her getting robbed and we will be losing anything. Fast forward to 2023, some young people robbed her and took the ring. See, would have loved to have been in the pawn shop when they found out. Wow. Okay. And then someone also says this is China's way of chasing the other foreign countries out of Africa, devaluation of diamonds by flooding the market with man-made stones. Exactly, because I'm trying to also understand, because at the end of the day, I feel like China is going to take control of this market, because I feel like that's what they're going to do. And also trying to understand how Keith has explained China very well, how it has been built, and all the history of China being China today. Maybe this is literally the small hats using China because so many people know so many things right now. You know, so many people know so many organizations, so many companies that have been operating, and the lies they have been creating, they're all lies. So China is like a backdoor for them to continue what they are doing, because you can't explain the loans, right? From what we were just discussing last week, you can't really explain the loans. It's the same tactic, or lower the interest, but we're coming for what actually belongs to you. If you read the IMF and the World Bank instruction, there's nothing different. It's the same instruction. If you can't pay the interest, the loan they have given you in interest and in their currency, they still come back. They come for your state-owned companies. So what is really different? The fact that we've been fooled that all these deals are different, or all these people, these organizations are different, is the crazy part. So actually, this actually makes sense. What Keith has been explaining for the longest time about China, how they funded China and the creation of China to what it is today, because it doesn't really make sense. And understanding the cat to the small hat, how we've understood these people, how they love dominating power. How comes they're not attacking China, but they're attacking Iran? Of course, Iran has something they want, which is oil. They want to take control of oil and all that. And for them to give up their nuclear weapon, for them to just destroy it. Why aren't they attacking China? Just a question. Nah, I feel like I've really cracked it. That I feel like now I understand it, because this is not just a coincidence. There is nothing as a coincidence. And I feel like that the next video actually explains it a little bit better. Oh my God, because it's not making sense. Why flood the market exactly with man-made diamonds, coming up with 10,000 machines that can make them for $500? That is cheap as hell, number one. So how much are they going to be going for? Flood the market with these fake diamonds. So what about the original diamond? Who's going to be benefiting? That is another question, because we know these people with the greediness, there's no way they're just going to let Africa. Nah, I don't know. Somebody make me understand in the comment section if because it's actually a good question. But devaluation of the diamonds by flooding the market with man-made stones. They'll buy, then they'll buy up the company and thus the mining rights, and for a lower price, and suddenly the land is part of China. Exactly. Because it's no, if you sit down, there's nothing to be excited about here. This guy said that there's nothing positive about this. Yes, it's good to see the Beers is collapsing, but if you follow up, who is really buying the company? And you want to say the diamond market is just going to collapse just like that? The real diamonds are just... Nah. For us to just embrace some man-made... No, it's not making sense. It's not making sense at all. It's not. Someone says, I'm going to read a few comments to see if anyone understands also what is happening. Someone says, funny thing is that when every major investor has forgotten about these African countries that has diamond, then boom, China might go back to gain mining rights and start mining these diamonds again. Because it's the same people. It's the same people for me, if you ask me. It's really the same people. I feel like China, yes, for real, it's really now just a backdoor to being used to fool us, to give it all up. And by the time we realize it, these people are going to be controlling and owning so many things. Oh my God. That's how I see it. That's just how I see it. Because if really these people didn't want China to cooperate, we've seen it. Cooperate with African nations, they would have stopped China from the very word go. But China is allowed to do all these things. China is part of BRICS, understand too, which is trying to convince other African countries to join that same bullshit, that same fake money scheme. Okay. Very interesting, I'm telling you. The last 2-3 comments, someone says it's worse because they're sitting on a giant pile of diamonds to keep the prices of the ones in circulation extremely inflated. They were never worth the amount of money they charge. They just control the flow until they became expensive. And then someone says, after everything stolen from Africa, I'm glad this happened. Yeah, big glad, but let's watch China's. We have to be very careful. These people are smart, man. Oh God, white people are smart. Every shade of that pig looking like skin. These people are just smart. These people, actually, it makes sense, everything that Keith has been explaining, for real. I'm convinced. China is them. It's just being used to rip everything off us in the name of all better interest, all better, lower, nothing. Who is buying the beers? I'm gonna follow up. And what do you mean flood the market with some fake diamonds, man-made diamonds that are just making them is gonna cost $500? So what about our real market of diamonds? What happens to African countries that have diamonds? They're just gonna let them go? Now, if you know white people, if you know these people, you should think about it. You should be too smart about it. But let's look at this video. It explains, of course, their whole empire. Like I said, I didn't find a really good video to break it all down, but I hope this gives us at least a bit of information how these people took control of this market. And of course, they are collapsed currently, because if they're really selling the company, again, the first question we need to question is, shout out to Keith for teaching us, follow the money. Who is really buying the company? And why is China doing this? Why is China allowed to do this? Understanding this system of power and monopoly, these people would kill each other to maintain power or control of certain stuff. So why is China not being attacked for tapping into so many African countries. And we know these people actually are all fighting to take control of certain places, or to still control and maintain control of certain places. That's why they're so mad about the Alliance Sahel state, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. They want it so bad. You can see they're using every means and tactic to gain their influence back, but it's not working. It's not working. So, let's listen to this though.
Preserve this moment, a symbol of enduring affection. Because a diamond is forever.
Picture this. In the early 1990s, one company secretly held so many diamonds that if they released them all at once, the entire global market would collapse overnight. And here's the insane part. This stockpile wasn't an accident. It was a weapon. A $5 billion doomsday device designed to scare governments, crush competitors, and keep a century-old empire alive. For decades, this company didn't just sell diamonds. It controlled who could buy them, who could sell them, and exactly what they were worth.
Exactly, because we saw recently when what is his name again? iShowSpeed, when he was just in Botswana asking, can I buy this diamond? He's like, no, the De Beers controlled this, which is sad, even because the guys who are there showing on the showroom of that diamond, they don't even know the price. That is the saddest part. A diamond is forever. A diamond is rare. But it's all available in your country, but you can't. It's crazy, man. It's really crazy.
Even the world's biggest nations couldn't challenge it. But as apartheid collapsed and South Africa faced revolution, the empire was cornered. And that's when it made the most dangerous move in corporate history. This is the secret story of the diamond cartel that held the world hostage, and the hidden stockpile that almost broke the global economy. If you controlled the world's diamonds, you controlled the price of love, power, and status itself. And De Beers knew that better than anyone. Their entire system revolved around one idea: control the supply, control the price, forever. The heart of that system sat in London, a quiet little corporate office with an innocent name, the Diamond Trading Company, the DTC. Sounds harmless, right? It wasn't. This was the pipe that every diamond on Earth had to pass through. If you mined diamonds, you sold them to the DTC. If you needed diamonds, you bought from the DTC. There was no plan B, and this is where it gets ruthless. Only a tiny elite group, the site holders, could buy from De Beers.
This is what I'm talking about. You can see the ruthlessness from the root. You know, I control, I sell. You work for me. And you're not going to know the price of this. You work for me. I pay you nothing, because that's how it is. Come on. We've seen exploitation in Africa. I control the market. I control the price. But this money never gets to you. Never gets to you. Let me just post this and share a video of Joshua Maponga. Let me just post that. He says it very well. Very, very well. Let me share this.
This De Beers company is stealing from you. So they dig the diamond. They have another De Beers in South Africa. So they tell the government, we have dug 5 kgs of diamonds and they are raw. They are worth 5 pula.
And mind you, it's never 5 kgs, because we know why people being greedy. Come on. And they know, understanding power, that these Negroes are not going to check on them how much they have stolen. You take my word. That's it. Don't try be stubborn. You take my word. I have mined 5 grams of 5 kg. Yet it's actually 20 or 50. Yeah, but you know it's 5.
And then they take them out of the country, they polish them in South Africa, and those diamonds are now worth 50 million. And then they take them to Arawep in Belgium, they sell those things for 250 million. And that's bad news for you. By the time they're selling them in Belgium, they're no longer bringing the money to bank it in Botswana. You're only being paid for the 5 pula of the raw material. So we actually have multinational corruption and thuggery at a high level, which the government sees and supervises. And what I'm saying is not...
Exactly. They see and supervise, because these are the same people allowing these deals to continue. Every time these licenses that were signed since the fake independency, the fake democracy, every time they expire, they are renewed. Every time they expire, they are renewed. You keep on supervising as we steal.
Like anyone does not know who is in positions of power. So for me, this concept of democracy and government management is actually people who are put into power to manage international corruption.
If you see
Yeah, so let me go back to this now.
A few times a year, they were summoned to London and handed a sealed box of diamonds. Price, fixed, negotiation, zero, options, take it, or lose your status forever. It was the closest thing the global market had to a royal decree. And it worked, brutally well. But the scary part is what happened when someone tried to leave the system. In the late 70s, Israeli diamond dealers got bold. They tried to buy rough stones outside the cartel. De Beers didn't argue. They didn't bargain. First, they quietly tweaked loan terms. Interest rates shot up. Then the kill shot, a public announcement cutting Israel's diamond allocation by 20%. That single move collapsed an entire national industry. 1 in 4 workers lost their jobs. Rebellion? Over. And if that sounds harsh, what they did to Zaire was even colder. When Zaire tried selling its own industrial diamonds, De Beers pulled a classic cartel play. They opened their stockpile and flooded the market with identical stones. Prices crashed. Zaire's profits evaporated. The breakaway failed. And when the country crawled back to the cartel, they were given worse terms than before, a public reminder that the cartel didn't lose. By now, De Beers wasn't just controlling the diamond market. They were engineering it, policing it, and punishing anyone who stepped out of line. But what the world didn't know is that all of this power rested on something even more dangerous. A growing vault of hidden diamonds, a secret weapon big enough to threaten entire nations. And that stockpile was about to become the center of the biggest corporate standoff of the century. De Beers didn't rise on clever economics alone. Their empire stood on something far darker, a political system built to control land, labor, and human lives. And here's the truth most people don't want to touch. Apartheid didn't just benefit De Beers. De Beers helped create it. It starts with Cecil Rhodes, not just a diamond tycoon.
They helped create it. They helped create apartheid. Because for these people, it's just, they're so ruthless. You can't convince me they're just selling this company away without having a backup plan. And China is the backup plan for real. China is taking everything away from us. I feel like let's talk about it. I feel like actually the exchange, you see like how Africa, we were sold the fake independency, and then still these people had control of our lands. They still have, control of everything, our education, our religion, everything, our food. I feel like China, I don't know. We never know. I mean, history is there, but I feel like maybe behind the doors. This is just me hypothetically thinking and letting my mind just take me to my further thoughts, right? For us to help you grow, okay, we will fund you. Yeah, we had people who are taking pictures, reverse engineering all the technology. China was smart, or the Chinese people were too smart. But still, understanding what Kit has been explaining, I feel like part of it was like, we're gonna help you or finance you in a couple of ways. But since we know some of these things might come to collapse, or maybe it's gonna come to a point where people are gonna know too much. We're gonna use you as the backup plan to knock at African doors with better options. And that comes in terms of loans, everything, projects. We're gonna use you to act like you fulfill your words, unlike us who have been just giving loans, and we never fulfill our words. So we're gonna use you as the backup plan to do everything we want you to do. You'll benefit a little bit, But this is a way of you paying us back for us to develop your country quick and fast, still through the same nations. You'll steal resources because we are allowing you to. I don't know. It just sounds all planned according to me too. Because it's not making sense. These people are too ruthless to just watch China thrive without wanting to pick a war. It's not making sense to me. It's just not. That is just me thinking.
An imperialist obsessed with dominating Southern Africa. Cheap labor was the key to his minds, so he turned to politics, became Prime Minister of the Cape Colony, and pushed through racist laws designed to force Black Africans off their land.
Imagine.
One of them, the Glenn Gray Act of 1894, stripped people from their homes and funneled them straight into the mines. These weren't just policies, they were the blueprint for apartheid decades before the word existed, and Rhodes knew exactly what he was doing. But the brutality didn't stop there. When the Oppenheimer family took over in the 1920s, the system became even more ruthless. De Beers built what they called closed labor compounds, a polite name for something that looked a lot more like prison camps. Workers were separated from their families for months or even years. Cramped barracks, rotting food, zero medical care. Safety? Forget it. In one mine fire in 1880,
These people today, do South Africans know this history? Today, they're still there, calling you lazy, feeding you to pigs, and you have the audacity to kick away the only people who helped you from all this misery. This is not even in our books. It's not in our books. We don't know anything about this history of South Africa. We don't. The same way I believe South Africans probably, unless you're grown, now you're on the internet or you get some books, you see the history of Mau Mau. Nobody knows about this history. All this brutality. But now that we know, with the bit that you know, you still want to protect these people. Anyway.
more than 200 men died. Why? The company had locked the escape routes to prevent theft, and the humiliation was intentional. When miners finished their contracts, they were stripped naked, isolated, and forced to wear thick, fingerless leather gloves so they couldn't touch anything. Meals were thrown on the floor, eaten like animals. This wasn't security, it was psychological domination. But this cruelty wasn't just tolerated, it became the engine of South Africa's economy. By the 1970s, De Beers and its parent company, Anglo American, were basically the financial spine of the apartheid state. 10% of South Africa's entire GNP, 30% of all exports wages, so low they were designed to keep black miners permanently trapped. When Harry Oppenheimer was asked in 1972 why black workers weren't paid a living wage, his answer was chilling. Paying them fairly, he said, would bankrupt the smaller, white-owned mines.
Wow. Yeah, until to date. That is their mindset till to date when it comes to Africa. We have so many Africans working in these illegal mines and they're not paid anything. Nothing. Why? That's the answer.
The entire system depended on exploitation, and De Beers was its largest beneficiary. Yet publicly, Oppenheimer played a different role. In the West, Harry Oppenheimer presented himself as a liberal, even a quiet critic of apartheid. He funded anti-apartheid parties. He condemned the harshest laws. He shook hands with global leaders. But behind closed doors, his mining companies kept the machine running year after year, profit after profit. His liberalism wasn't morale, it was strategic, a mask to protect a monopoly built on forced labor. And this double game bought De Beers decades of power. But power always comes with a price. By the 1980s, apartheid was cracking. Sanctions were rising. The world was turning against South Africa. And De Beers knew something terrifying. If the government fell, their entire empire could fall with it. So they made a move, a quiet, calculated shift that would lead directly to the creation of their most dangerous weapon, the billion-dollar stockpile, the same stockpile that could crash the market or save their empire. By the 1980s, De Beers looked untouchable, a monopoly, a cartel, a global puppet master. But every empire faces a moment when the ground shifts, and for De Beers, that moment hit like an earthquake. Inside South Africa, resistance was exploding. Strikes, boycotts, underground organizing led by the ANC. The country was becoming impossible to control. Outside South Africa, the world had finally had enough. Sanctions were mounting, governments were pulling out, investors were fleeing, and then came the hammer blow. The U.S. Comprehensive Anti-Apartheid Act of 1986. For De Beers, this wasn't politics, it was survival. If apartheid fell, the company that had built its wealth on cheap, controlled labor suddenly had everything to lose. But that was only half the problem. The other threat came from thousands of miles away. New diamond producers were rising, and they didn't want to join the cartel. The Soviets, once compliant partners, began leaking diamonds onto the global market for hard currency. No contracts, no rules, no loyalty. Australia opened Argyle, one of the largest diamond mines on Earth, and immediately said, "We're selling our own stones." Canada discovered massive new deposits, and from day one made it clear, no De Beers. For the first time in a century, the cartel wasn't the only game in town. De Beers' market share had been above 80% for decades. Now, it was in free fall, and the Oppenheimer family could see exactly where this was heading. If apartheid collapsed, a new South African government, led by the ANC, could seize the mines. And if they did, they could sell diamonds directly to the world, flood the market, crash prices, destroy De Beers' entire pricing system in a single stroke. Everything the cartel built for 100 years, gone. So Harry Oppenheimer made his first quiet move. He reached out to the ANC, not publicly, not loudly, but carefully, positioning De Beers as a necessary partner for a future democratic South Africa. It was a smart play, a calculated one, but it wasn't enough. At the same time, Russia kept leaking stones. Australia kept selling independently. New producers kept emerging. De Beers couldn't intimidate all of them. They couldn't buy all of them. The cartel was fighting a war on two fronts, a political revolution at home and a supply explosion abroad. If either one broke through, the entire global diamond price would collapse. It was the risk they feared most, because diamonds only have value if the world believes they're scarce. And De Beers was losing control of the illusion. So the company did something no one expected. They prepared a weapon bigger than any marketing campaign, negotiation, or political alliance. If the world was going to flood the market with diamonds, De Beers would be ready to absorb the flood. They began secretly expanding their vault, buying up stones at a scale nobody had seen before. A hidden stockpile worth billions that could threaten entire governments. A stockpile built not to stabilize the market, but to hold the world hostage. And that weapon would define the next chapter of the empire. When every threat closed in, political collapse, market chaos, rebellious producers, De Beers did what only a true cartel would dare. They built a weapon, not a machine, not a policy, a stockpile, hidden, silent, and powerful enough to crush entire economies. The idea was brutally simple. If the world was going to dump diamonds on the market, De Beers would swallow the flood. They expanded their vaults. They sped up purchases. They bought everything: Russian leaks, rogue Australian rough, stones from every producer trying to break free. This wasn't inventory management anymore. It was economic warfare. By the early 1990s, the vault was holding an estimated $5 billion worth of diamonds. $5 billion. Locked in London, hidden from the world. It wasn't a reserve, it was leverage. To the ANC, the movement preparing to take power, this was a warning written in diamonds. Nationalize the mines? Sell directly to the world? Try to build a fair system after apartheid? Fine, but De Beers could crash the price overnight. Make the diamonds worthless. Starve the new government of revenue before it ever got started. It was a corporate message with geopolitical weight. Partner with us, or we burn the market down. Cold, calculated, deadly effective. But South Africa wasn't the only target. After the fall of the Soviet Union, Russian diamonds started leaking everywhere. Factories, warehouses, military bases. Anyone with access needed hard currency. At first, De Beers did the usual play. buying up the leaks and pretending everything was normal. But the leaks didn't stop. They grew, so the giant stockpile became a shield. De Beers absorbed the rogue supply, kept prices steady, and held the line until they could force Russia back to negotiations. It was a war of attrition, and De Beers had deeper pockets, colder nerves, and a vault full of ammunition. But even as they fought on the supply side, they were building a second front. The cartel knew the truth. No monopoly lasts forever. If supply couldn't be controlled, demand had to be engineered. So De Beers launched one of the most brilliant marketing offensives ever created. Their primary target? Japan, a country with almost zero tradition of diamond engagement rings, but a massive population with rising wealth. With a single campaign, they rewrote Japanese culture. They sold romance, modernity, status. The result? Japan became one of the world's largest diamond markets, a new sponge that soaked up the global supply. While the stockpile intimidated emerging producers, the marketing machine seduced new consumers. One hand threatened, the other hand charmed. By the mid-1990s, the weapon was ready. A $5 billion insurance policy. A vault that could drown competitors, force governments to cooperate, and stabilize prices through absolute fear. But there was one problem no one expected. The world was changing faster than the cartel could adapt. New producers kept breaking away. New mines kept opening. And the stockpile itself, this giant hidden asset, was turning into a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, De Beers would have to choose: release the horde or watch the empire collapse from the weight of its own weapon. By the mid-1990s, the world De Beers had dominated for a century was vanishing. The storm they'd spent decades outrunning had finally arrived. And for the first time, the cartel had to face a reality it never believed possible. They were no longer in control. South Africa holds its first democratic election. Nelson Mandela becomes president. The political earthquake hits. Everyone expected De Beers to be the first casualty. A new government, a new ideology, a chance to reclaim the country's natural wealth. But De Beers didn't collapse. Harry Oppenheimer's long game paid off. He'd built quiet relationships with the ANC, positioned De Beers as a stabilizing partner, and warned very subtly about what would happen if the cartel went to war with the new state. The ANC needed jobs, taxes, and economic stability. De Beers needed political survival, so both sides made the same choice: a fragile, uncomfortable partnership. Not equal, but functional. The cartel had survived the revolution, but not the world that came after. Even without political collapse, De Beers was bleeding out. Australia stayed independent. Canada marketed its stones as clean and non-cartel. Russia played its own game. De Beers' market share, once above 80%, kept sliding. By the late 90s, it was clear the monopoly was dying. And then in the year 2000, something unthinkable happened. De Beers publicly announced, "We're no longer controlling the global diamond market." A surrender, a confession, a moment no one imagined would ever come. Instead of being the shadowy central bank of diamonds, they said they'd become a normal company, focused on marketing their own stones, not the world's. For the first time in 100 years, the diamond market was truly open. But that announcement created a new problem, a massive one. The billion-dollar stockpile, the weapon that kept De Beers powerful, was now a liability. A mountain of diamonds sitting on the balance sheet worth billions, dragging the company down. If they sold too fast, prices would crash. If they held too long, value would evaporate. This was the scenario the entire industry feared for decades, a diamond apocalypse. So De Beers did something shocking. They slowly, quietly liquidated the hoard. Between 2000 and 2004, the vaults opened. Diamonds poured out, and the collapse everyone predicted never came. Demand had grown so much, from Japan, from America, from their marketing machine, that the world absorbed the shock. The weapon that once threatened to destroy the global market ended up fading without a scream. But De Beers was no longer the giant it once was. With its monopoly gone, De Beers had to reinvent itself. They leaned hard into branding, luxury, ethics, corporate social responsibility. Forever Mark, origin verification, Kimberly process participation. The same company that once ran brutal labor compounds was now speaking the language of morality and sustainability. But reality is messy. And history doesn't disappear just because the marketing changes. Today, De Beers controls around 35% of the diamond market by value. Still powerful, but no longer a king, just one of several major players. Botswana, once a supplier under the cartel, is now a negotiating powerhouse. They demand bigger shares, more control, more transparency. Meanwhile, their disputes continue over indigenous lands, especially the San people of Botswana, a bitter reminder that the old logic of extraction and displacement still echoes through the industry. The empire survived, but it didn't escape its past, the legacy that won't die. The billion-dollar stockpile is gone. The monopoly is gone.
Exactly, and there's so many people have not been compensated for all the damages that have been done to their lands, to themselves. You know, the damage has not been repaid. This is super, super crazy. Super crazy. So it's too soon to celebrate. That's all I'd say. Just because they're saying they're selling their company, it's too early. I mean, it's too early to celebrate. Too early to celebrate. So we gotta be careful how China is coming out and about with this new plan, because these people are too greedy to not just figure out a way on how to, I don't know. But with Africa also taking control, like you've heard, Botswana, of course, recently we saw them talking about they don't want to give away their resources anymore. Let me see if I can find that video. Actually, here it is. The president was talking about it.
Anglo holds 85% stake in De Beers. And Botswana, the government of the Republic of Botswana holds 15%. We are resolute now, and we've communicated a firm intention to increase our stake in De Beers to a controlling stake that is upwards of 50%.
Would you go higher than that? Would you
We
consider
will
taking it over?
Yes, we'll go higher.
Why?
But because we want to have effective control of the industry. We want our voice to be heard. It's a matter of economic sovereignty for Botswana. Is absolutely imperative for Botswana at this point, particularly, to take a more active role and increase its stake.
Where do you get the funds from, though?
We have lined up a number of potential collaborators with us, if I may put it that way. We have targeted funders. We have parties. We have the Oman Sovereign Wealth Fund. We have others who are willing and ready to come on board with us. So we are more than ready with the transaction, and we've said the transaction must be concluded by end of October.
Yeah, so that was the president of Botswana, Ramaphosa. We've not seen him talking about anything to do with the diamonds in his country. So we'll see how this actually goes the way forward. But it's, again, like I said yesterday, it's the same copy and paste. Exploitation of our resources, you know, just because a group of people wants to be super rich, control the market, control everything. Until you can't control anything. Until you can't control anything. And it will get there. It will get there. But yes, that is the story and the history of De Beers, and who we can see that they are trying to sell their company. And the question is, who are they selling to? Because apparently we have China, which has built over 10,000 machines that make diamonds for just $500, man-made diamonds for just $500. So it's crazy. Let me know how you think about that. But I'm gonna wrap it up with this video of Ramaphosa, of Joshua Maponga, who talks about how we're swimming in poverty. Because if you look at, again, how this market has been completely exploiting us, because that's exploitation, you know, and the promises were given. The promises, the actions are not adding up. Let me just say that. They're not adding up. And he talks about the democracy of poverty.
While you are swimming in the poverty of democracy, I've never seen a group of sick people like educated Africans. You are illegitimate children of the Commonwealth, which is common poverty. And you wiggle around this democratic thing and you think it will work. take it from a fool. It will not work. It has not worked. You are so happy to celebrate the Queen's birthday, the King Charles' birthday, and what? And you don't ask the question, why did they kill your kings and they did not kill their king? If you are weak, and if you are brainwashed, and if you are slow to think, please scroll and pass this message, because I'm going to say some things that are really going to offend some people. Really going to offend some people today, but I'll offend them in a nice way, because I want to activate a certain thinking pattern. I want to activate a certain way of looking at things and perspectives, so that we don't just become, followers. Just become this dust that follows behind other cars. Other countries are living, but it looks like some of our African countries were just escorting others in life. The travels that I have taken around the world, other countries are living, other continents are living, and Africa looks like we're escorting other people in this life, swimming in poverty and hunger, and violence, and no identity. The only hope that we have is to go to church maybe, and then we pray and be told everything in this life will not matter. Just wait. When Jesus comes, he will make things right. No, we don't have to wait for Jesus to come to make things right. We must make things right ourselves. So here is the presentation for today, which I will offend some people, but I will offend you in a nice way. So sit up straight, pull up your chair, and here we go on a roller coaster of a mind. In ancient times past, before colonizers came here, Africa had its own way of celebrating itself, had its own empires, had its own kingdoms. And these include the Sahel, the Axion, Carthage, Congo, Abyssinia, Munumtapa. These are really ancient monarchs that were here. And we had our own forms and ways we were governing ourselves before the white men told us how to govern us. And the comment that I'm receiving, particularly from our South African friends, it's I must always be talking about South Africa. I must talk about Zimbabwe. Here is the stinger on the timetable. Many people, when they want to laugh at countries and failed states, they want to look at Zimbabwe as a failed state. And that narrative is not coming from amongst us. It is coming from the Western people, for the Western world. It is coming from the farmers who were removed from our farms here, and we sent them back home. So here is the statement. Zimbabwe did what no other African country in the entire Commonwealth has done. That must be complimented. And that was to take land away from the white people. Yes, we can start having ideas. When they took it, they should have done this, they should have done this, and now the others.
Yeah, but right now it's been, the white people are being compensated, remember? They're being compensated by the current president.
61 farms, we're giving them back to the white people. That's not where the conversation is. The conversation is we are the only country in the entire Commonwealth that took away land from the white people, and we took it back to ourselves as a state. And that's where my problem is, right there. On taking away land from the colonialists and making that land state land. And yet we know that the state does not have a receipt from the traditional people from whence the land was taken from or stolen from. So all African governments, to say the least, that are saying they have state land, they are thieves.
Exactly. And mic drop. He's correct. He is correct. If you look at the history of Africa, how these white people invaded us, our president currently, of course, we've been knowing, they're part of, I call it the management of these stolen lands, but they've participated in stealing even more. But the question is, do we even know who originally owned these lands? Because it's so many people. Oh my God, so many people have lost their lands because of them Zungu. And today, these lands, it's not like they're not there, they're not available. Our politicians have participated in ensuring these people, no matter how much they fight for these lands, they will never get it back. So many people are living in lands that they were never theirs. They just had to buy. They had to let go of the acres of land that was lost during the colonial era. Exactly. Is actually very much correct. I agree.
Because how can you have state land and yet you don't have a receipt of the state itself? And the state, which was a colonial state, had stolen the land from the African people who have not yet received that land. So even if the land is in the hands of the government, it doesn't mean that yet it is in the hands of the people under the jurisdiction of the royal houses. Boom! There we go for the uncomfortable conversation. Kings are the custodians. They are the trustees. And the people are the beneficiaries. This is under our traditional covenants. Kings are the trustees and the people are the beneficiaries. Therefore, we must not be afraid of restoring back our royal houses as the rightful trustees of the land. Yes, you heard me well. It doesn't mean that you can't process it if you don't understand that when Spain won, their king came to shake hands and give medals. But ask the bloodline of that king, how many African kings in the Caribbean and in Africa did they slaughter? You never stop to ask. You are so happy to celebrate the Queen's birthday, the King Charles' birthday, and you don't ask the question, why did they kill your kings and they did not kill their king? Netherlands has a king. Germany has a king. France has a king. Spain has a king. Britain has a king. Bahrain has a king.
I feel like it's a mimic, just like how they do. Pardon me, I'm eating. But I feel like it's a mimic of how they do when it comes to our history, how they paint it to be them, while it has nothing to do with them. So they went and formed their fake kingdoms, fake culture that never existed, and destroyed the African ones so that we can believe that they are the original kings and queens.
Dubai has a king. China has a king. Malaysia has a king. And all these countries that I've mentioned, they are doing well. They are doing well while you are swimming in the poverty of democracy. I've never seen a group of sick people like educated Africans. You are illegitimate children of the Commonwealth, which is common poverty. And you wiggle around this democratic thing and you think it will work. Take it from a fool. It will not work. It has not worked. You have your own methods in the past that are tested and tried, that our forefathers worked on. They built these empires using what we call consultative democracy. Not this thing you call democracy today. I mean, I'm not sparing my swords. People think maybe I'm afraid of Zimbabwe, I'm afraid of ZANU-PF. That's not the issue. Hear me well. Mugabe ran this country for 40 years. Was that democracy? Kagame is in power. Is that democracy?
No.
Museveni is in power. Biya is in power. Is that democracy? Democracy is window dressing. At the end of the day, these countries that I've mentioned, they are hiding under democracy, but in actual effect, they have a hybrid unspoken code where they're playing between kingship and democracy. They use democracy, the republic, to legitimize their positions as kings. because that is the DNA of an African. We can deal with kings better than we can deal with presidents. Presidents we don't know. They are very new as when we received our independence. Before then, we did not have presidents. So we don't even have the DNA of the president in our hands. That's why when we elect these presidents, we address them as kings.
That's why the system doesn't work, because it's all a white man-made bullshit that has nothing to do with us as Africans. Simply explained that way. Literally. It has completely, it has nothing to do with us. This system, the way it's been created by animal, behaved like people. This has nothing to do with us. Because as he explained the kingdoms, this is how we used to live in harmony and peace. We talked about the masks, how the masks used to solve certain problems or create certain solutions. Like, are you kidding me? Exactly. This is very new. Man, I really hate the fact that Africans, I wish all of us were mentally just being tapped at the same time to learn so much at the same time, you know, collectively, if it makes sense, collectively, not just one person at a time, collectively. Because it is so sad to see that there's so many people who are not willing to let go of these lies, no matter how many years of fake promises of things that are never done. And a system that is willing to keep you dumber in the name of Jesus. Actually, it's true. Keep you dumber in the name of Jesus. What the hell? I like his tone. He should be like the tone.
We address them as kings. So 40 years of democracy, which is actually a monarch. Now, Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa is in power. He has hardly done, and he has done maybe 7 years in power. Now there's Cap 3.
And mind you, he's extending presidential terms. Yeah. And there's nothing, he has done nothing but compensate the white people.
Because of the extension to 2030. I told you a long time ago, I don't believe in democracy. What gets me fed up is getting people's emotions worked up to think that after 2010, 28, things will change. Then you're told it's 2030. 2030 comes and you hope that 2035, things will change. 2035, you hope that 2040 will change. What if I can tell you what you don't want to hear?
Why are we hoping? Exactly. He's even using the term. You say hoping, hoping, hoping. I've been saying that's the situation we've been kept in. Always hoping. And religion has been the biggest scam in the name of Jesus, in the name of... Ruto is using the same bullshit with you guys right now. Ruto is using that bullshit with Kenyans right now. Oh, we must. You have to be smart to listen to the sentences. You can't be dumb. We must. Number one, underline the term must. I was really good with grammar. Underline the key words in a sentence. Ruto said, we must win next year's election by all means. If God allows us, he finishes with that. To emotionally manipulate you, that is a God-chosen leader. But he said, if you go back to the first sentence, he said, we must win next year's elections by all means. Full stop. If God allows. Number one, the first sentence shows you this man has a way and a plan to figure out how he must win the elections next year, no matter what. Okay? Adding God, if God allows, is just a by the way in the sentence, by the way. But to emotionally manipulate you, we'll use if God allows. Shit.
But the man who walks into power is not going anywhere. And while he's not going in, we might as well just make this royal thing official. But then we hybridize it. It's not only one family that is ruling. With a rotational system. The rotational system where all the 16 nations that are in Zimbabwe here, inclusive to the Ndau, Korekore, the Karangas, the Nambias, the Ndebeles, I don't know whether to call them Ndebele or Zulu, and the colored community and the white community and the Chinese community. We're going to have a quarter 16 houses. And out of the 16 houses, we force the 16 houses to consolidate themselves into units. So for 10 years, it is the Karangas. For 10 years, it is the Nambias. For 10 years, it is the Ndebeles. For 10 years, it is the Korekores. For 10 years, it is the Tongas. We remodel our own democracy and our monarchical system to a functional, operative, consultative, societal democracy. You lose nothing to think outside of the box or bend the box and think.
Imagine I do feel his frustration. I really do. I really do feel his frustration, by the way. Is so you can tell this is not just a message, but it's a message of when will our people wake up? You know? Because it's really agitating. Man, what? Out here, people are dumb. Like, super dumb. Super dumb. Man, people out here, I like minding my business, especially when I'm walking. I don't have no conversation. I don't want to do nothing. People have like small brain. It's a small brain that cannot give itself the ability to open a little bit and learn something new or different. Small brains. Because you'll try have a conversation with a group of people, you'll be agitated. You'll be like literally, oh my God, to the gut. You're like, man, I want to punch this person so bad. But you're like, man, who are you? You don't really know shit, do you? But at the same time, like, man, you're so grown to be thinking this way. As a man, as a woman, like, is this is how you really think? Like, trust me, it's a lot of questions. Good. That is, I feel like that's Joshua Maponga. Because there's sometimes where you go to certain places, you're like, man, he is, you can see he's really like, because for how long will it take for us to be free? This fake independency is costing us so much. So much. And people are trying, so many people, because of being brainwashed, they think this is supposed to be normal. It's not. It's not. A group of people is doing this. And we have to get rid of this system.
Who told you must be fitting in this square box?
No, man, I feel it.
Every election, you're dropping those little pieces of paper. You're voting for your poverty.
Imagine.
Until you wake up from your sleep and intoxication with colonial education. Can't help you.
Imagine.
Just think about it. Think about it. Farmers of thought, we're here to think. We're not here to endorse anybody. And many of you get confused. Sometimes when I do my things, you must be saying this, you must be saying this, you must be saying that. Shut up. You go and say it for yourself on your own page. I don't work for you. I'm not a parrot of your own imaginations and your own thinking. Then you must write on my page, Maponga say this, say that, say that. I don't want. You say it yourself.
Oh my God. I feel him. I really feel him.
I think for myself. Mnangagwa is not going anywhere. Why? Because he does not want to go anywhere. Why?
He's extending presidential.
Can't we just apply our minds and use the same democratic system to create what I want to call now CAB 4?
Sadly, Zimbabweans are not anything different from South Africans. Same bullshit. Sadly. Zimbabweans, again, they're the same people, yes. Same very people. Africans are just the same, again. But these two group of people are the same. Man, I feel like for me, looking at it's 2026, man. You know, it's 2026. For us to be still idolizing white people the way some people do, you know, you need to be having the mindset of knocking someone out, like not trying to idolize them.
Hey, Busana, Joey, it's the end. So I'll go crazy. You're about to wrap up. But I want to say something. I told you 5 years ago, as you start learning too much, you're not going to be able to relate to certain people, especially in Africa, because the ignorance on purpose is so overwhelming. And when you start knowing so much, you're going to be like, God damn, yeah. Of course, that's what Joseph Mapanga is feeling. You understand? Yeah, he's frustrated.
Very frustrated because it's crazy. But like
KEB 4. KEB 3 was to extend the term of the president. Tear KEB 3. Let's do KEB 4. Zimbabwe again will lead the way to become the first African state to break away from democracy back into monarchy. I have declared. We were the first to take the land. We will be the first again.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that shit. He's talking about this monarchy. Because Africa doesn't have righteous people to be monarchs. You don't have righteous, so the same corrupt bastards would just call themselves kings now, not presidents. No, that ain't gonna work, Joseph. I'm saying to tell you that. Your culture has been changed. You got to educate people back into African culture. They don't have that. I mean, look, this Kenyan lady. Oh man, this Kenyan lady is awesome. I think she's in America right now, but she's these Kenyans, man. It's just amazing how shit's come from Kenyan people now. This Kenyan lady said the same thing. I mean, she said you got to decolonize your mind, Joshua. And she's talking about and you got to actually study Europeans. Shout out to her. I was like, man, where's this lady come from? That's how I know there is still a big awakening happening. He's telling you, you got to study Europeans because she said the same thing Airtime used to say. And she said, the ones of you that say not all of them, not all white people, but he said, no, this is the culture in which they live in. She said, it's selfish, it's duplicitous, it's wicked at the core. That's the culture of duplicity, like I said it was. But she's got it. I gotta get this book she's reading. It's a book she was talking about that I've never read. How to explain that to her. I already know these things, but I want to read it from a clinical diagnosis. But she's talking about, I can tell when your whole mind is European. She's talking about the church, imagine these people talking about their fake religion, their Jesus. They used to still go out and hang black people after church. so that's what she said. Yes, I told you, their ethics is phony. It's situational ethics and moral relativism. Everything for them is two-faced. Like she's reading, you can't trust nothing they say. It's all backed in duplicity and deceit. And you being an African, your ancient culture was about what? About Ubuntu, about what you say is truthful. That's not their culture. Their culture is based in can they rob and steal and take from you? Culturally, that's their culture as white people. That's their culture. And like she said, and you as an African, you got to know this now. You can't be no more, as he said, Africans are naive and childlike. Yeah. And you can't afford to be this no more. I feel Joseph Mapanga's frustration, but no, you can't have no kings in Africa. There's no African-centered mind. Joseph Mapanga's not African, whatever his name, Managua, whatever. They're not African-centered. They don't give a shit about Africa. They're European mind. That's why they got the same mind of constantly stealing everything. But you can't, until you change the society and the people. Africa's been infected with a virus called European craziness. You've accepted the culture of savages. And so it's made us savage. Until you can get back to an Afrocentric way of thinking, you can't have no kings. Are you insane? There's no Afrocentric thinking amongst African people. Most African people hate Africa. They're scared to be, oh, Africa's evil. Africa's this. We've been so brainwashed so totally, completely. Even Joby 5 years ago, he thought our ancestors were evil. That's the majority still Africans. So you can like, shout out to that Kenyan. I get that Kenyan lady, she's brilliant. Can you get back to an African way of thought, of thinking, and change you thinking like European told you everything about being black is bad? And like Joby said in this show about all these systems are European, they are. They're all exploitative, they're all evil, they're all wicked, they're only for the gain. Until you understand that internally. No, Africa had no fucking kings. You're not the same people you were 200, 300, 400 years being just. That's why you had no poverty in Africa, because kings were just. They had no prisons in Africa. Kings were just. They had no Ruto or Gaddafi or Museveni. There's no fucking king. You insane? These corrupt, motherfucking corrupt bastards. Are you insane? You got to go back, and they don't want you to do that. So you have to go back and change the educational structure. But are you going to be scared to do that? Into an Afrocentric educational structure. We said about the history of South Africa. I already know that shit. Cecil Rhodes, the exploitation, the working in the mines. Back then, they didn't even get $2. They got like 2 cents. Take these half a shillings, nigga. There you go. So, until you understand that what's going on, and the European, see, it's not about letting you. You got to do it like even. That's what I tell you, even to Reagan. He said this European system of education's got to go. Right? It's got to go. But white people, you can't go do right. But all these puppets, they never want to get rid of that European form of education, which teaches lies and puts white people on a pedestal. You're worshiping savages. And if you didn't know, Jimmy, in your documentary, when he was talking about Zaire and the diamonds, Zaire is the Congo. That's what Congo was called.
I know.
Okay, Zaire is the Congo. So, So, Zaire tried to pick, we say, we'll bankrupt your ass. But everything for them, like Joby said, is domination. It's good. That's their culture. Dominate, steal, kill. And you're probably right about China, because exactly right. Why would they build China into China was backward and poor. Poor in Africa. Poor, not just poor like Africa. China was poorer than Africa. China was poorer than Kenya. Poor. So, questions got to be asked. Anyway, I'm done.
As we wind up, family, I feel like what Joshua Maponga was trying to explain is how we had governance during the kingdoms before the colonial.
It's true. It's true. You had good governance.
And what
you had good governance. Exactly. Africa was governed. Had good governance. Because African people practice collectivism, right? That nobody's supposed to have everything and everybody be poor, Joe. That's why there was no poor people in Africa. That's why there was no crime. Can you imagine? See, we look at Africa, we see the crime and people stealing. That's because Africans have been put in poverty. Since Africans didn't have no poverty, there was no sense in Africa. Nobody steal. Steal for what? All your needs were taken care of. So
exactly.
It's different.
Exactly. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Juba Jaba, for joining me this morning and wishing you a beautiful day ahead. And to all the silent listeners, for those who catch this on a replay, hope you guys enjoy and leave your
You get-
comments as well.
You
But
get
have a
enough. You get enough rest. Get enough rest. You sleep good.
have a beautiful day, family, and see you on the reaction
Hey,
time.
hey, that's a secret. That's a secret too. God damn.